Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and crack open the ultimate playbook for winning the game of survival on Earth. If you're a ninth grade student gearing up to absolutely crush your NYS Biology Regents exam, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to take all those complex, intimidating concepts about evolution and adaptation, and we're breaking them down into a super visual, easy-to-master strategy guide. By the end of this, you won't just be memorizing facts, you're going to understand the whole game board. But before we actually get into the mechanics of the game, we've got to ask a massive question. I mean, it's the question biologists have spent literally centuries trying to figure out. How do certain organisms manage to outlast the competition and stick around for millions of years, while others simply vanish? The Earth is an intense, unforgiving arena, yet life thrives everywhere. So how does a species actually win the game of survival? Well, to answer that, we're going to follow this playbook. First, the evidence for evolution. Second, 4 rules of survival. Third, tracking traits with math. Fourth, adapting to the environment. And fifth, speciation or extinction. All right, let's kick things off with section 1, the evidence for evolution. You know, in science, we definitely don't just guess. We build our understanding of common ancestry by comparing distinct lines of physical proof. Think of it like a giant puzzle. First up, we have overlapping DNA codes. Since every living thing uses the exact same genetic language, the more similar the DNA sequence, the closer the biological relationship. Then there's shared anatomical structures. It's wild to think about, but the bones in a human arm, a whale's flipper, and a bat's wing are laid out in an amazingly similar way, even though they do totally different jobs. Oh, and third, embryos. The order in which structures appear in embryos before birth shows these striking, undeniable similarities across wildly different species. It all points straight back to a common ancestor. Moving right along to section 2, 4 rules of survival. So, the entire engine of biological evolution basically runs on just 4 unbreakable rules. Rule number 1, overpopulation. It's the harsh reality that a species has the potential to increase in number far beyond what the environment can actually support. Just picture a single frog laying thousands of those little squishy eggs. There is literally no way the Earth has enough space or food to keep all of them alive. That brings us to rule number 2, genetic variation. Listen, if every baby was a perfect clone of its parents, evolution would just hit a massive dead end. But thanks to random genetic mutations and the mixing of genes during sexual reproduction, absolutely no 2 individuals are identical. These heritable differences mean everyone gets unique traits. Maybe someone is a bit taller, maybe they have slightly better camouflage, or slightly faster metabolism. And because of that overpopulation from rule 1, we run straight into rule number 3, competition. The environment only has so much to offer, right? There's a limited supply of food, water, light, and shelter. So this sets up a fierce, never-ending struggle between organisms. Everyone has to fight, whether that's directly battling it out or just quietly competing for resources just to survive the day. And finally, the big one, rule 4, survival of the fittest. Now, a quick heads up here, fittest doesn't necessarily mean the strongest or the absolute fastest. It actually means the most well-suited for a very specific environment. The individuals who just randomly happen to inherit the best traits for their current surroundings are the ones who outcompete the rest. They survive long enough to reproduce, which means they get to pass those winning traits on to the next generation. That snowball effect, that proliferation of advantageous traits, that is the core of evolution. Let's jump right into section 3, tracking traits with math. So, evolution isn't just some abstract idea. We can literally track the score in real time using math and probability. Imagine a population of early mammals. At first, only a tiny slice of them, let's say just 10%, possess this highly advantageous heritable trait, like slightly thicker fur. Right now, it's just a rare quirk. But then, let's say the climate starts gradually shifting toward an ice age. Suddenly, that thick fur isn't just a quirk anymore. It is a massive game changer for survival. Fast forward several generations, and the math shows us exactly what happens. Statistics and probability prove that the mammals with the thick fur lived longer and had way more babies, while the ones without it really struggled. The numbers completely flip. Now, 90% of the population has that advantageous trait. This numerical shift in the distribution of traits, that is hard mathematical proof that natural selection is actively shaping the population. Next up is section 4, adapting to the environment. Now, the rules of this game are strictly enforced by the environment, and the environment loves to rewrite the rules. Seriously, it is never static. It is constantly throwing wild cards at living things. We're talking about both biotic and abiotic factors, living and non-living challenges. This could be crazy swings in seasonal temperatures, long-term climate shifts, a geographic barrier suddenly popping up like a river carving through a valley, changes in light or ocean acidity, or even the sudden arrival of a brand new predator. And this creates a very strict cause and effect loop. Step 1, the environment changes, putting intense new pressure on the organisms. Step 2, natural selection kicks into high gear. This forces gene frequencies shift over time because only the traits that help you survive in this new environment are getting passed down. And step 3, this ultimately leads to the adaptation of the entire population to their new reality. The species basically adjusts its playbook to survive the new arena. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Speciation or Extinction. But what happens when the change is just way too fast or way too extreme? I mean, sometimes we aren't just talking about a gradual temperature shift. Sometimes ecosystems face massive, rapid disruptions. Things like devastating droughts, massive floods, or human-driven impacts, like widespread deforestation, overfishing, agricultural fertilizer runoff, or even dropping an invasive species into a local food web. When the environment changes this violently, populations get pushed right to the absolute brink. Based on the evidence, these extreme environmental conditions force one of 3 ultimate fates. Number 1, it might cause a huge population boom for a few lucky species who actually thrive in the chaos. Maybe a species of algae that just loves that fertilizer runoff. Number 2, it can drive the emergence of entirely new species over time, especially if isolated populations adapt so differently they can't even interbreed anymore. Or number 3, and this is the brutal one, it results in the total disappearance of traits and the absolute extinction of species that simply couldn't adapt fast enough. So if you want to absolutely ace your biology regions, you need to lock this core rule right into your brain. Evolution is a direct response to the environment. The environment dictates exactly which traits are rewarded, causing their widespread distribution, and which traits become lethal liabilities, leading to their disappearance. Remember, the organism doesn't just choose to evolve. Nature does the selecting. Well, you've seen the playbook now. From the DNA evidence all the way to the math of natural selection, right down to the ultimate fates of speciation and extinction. So I'm going to leave you with this final kind of crazy thought to chew on while you prep for your exam. If the rules of our global environment radically transform tomorrow, what specific genetic traits would your species, yeah, us humans, what would we need to avoid extinction in the next round? Good luck with your studying and keep observing the amazing game of survival happening all around you.